Hey everyone, I'm just changing it up a bit this time around. This is actually going to be about the most recent event, the Magitech facility event, and the new abilities that have been released. So I did a video about recommended abilities and things. That was based on the Japanese version, but I wanted to make one specifically for the global version, and just a quick couple notes about the event, and then some comments about the abilities, and then just kind of my thoughts about the pace at which they're releasing abilities, because it's different than Japan. So starting with the Magitech facility, it's actually pretty easy to get the 200,000 if you want all the orbs. The trick is, so you see I've entered the hard dungeon. Now, once you enter the dungeon, the set of mobs that you fight, the battles are predetermined once you've loaded the dungeon. So if you want the highest memory crystal to stamina ratio, you'll want to make sure that your first fight is this guy, number 24. If it's not him, there's one or two others where you could possibly get 4,000 to 5,000, but chances are you'll probably average like 2,000 or so. There's two sets of monsters, or two sets of dungeons that begin with number 24. One will give you 4,400, 4,200. One will give you 4,200, and the other will give you 5,000. So as far as averages go, you'll get the highest average of memory crystals to stamina if you do this. So just you go in the dungeon the way you do it. You go in the dungeon, you check. It'll show you who it is. Okay, it's number 24. Cool. Then you clear the dungeon. It's got the highest multipliers. You collect your memories, no problem. If it's something different, you just camp, retreat, and just keep loading it. Sometimes this time around, it only took me like 5 tries. Sometimes it can take a while. I've had other times where it takes 20. But if you do it like this, the event is about 10 days long. If you do it this way, you probably only have to do 4 to 5 runs a day. So at 30 stamina, you're looking at 150 stamina roughly a day to get 200,000 memory crystals. So really, really not that bad. You could just plow through it and get it done in a few days, 4 to 5 days if you really wanted to. But if you want to pace yourself and do some other stuff so you don't get burnt out, like with the Eris event, that's your choice. But that's how you do that. And then the new abilities that were released. Look at them. Well, I guess I could look at them in game, couldn't I? Let me look at them in game, so I'll show you guys. So the new abilities that were released, I'm not sure all of them. I think, let me look at the list. So the drain and death, a couple of black magic spells. That's not really what I'm interested in. So you'll see that they released right here, protect Ga. So obviously I made that. You'll want if you have the orbs now, I would definitely recommend making it. Silence Ga, it has a high chance of success. So I know a lot of people are having trouble with the Final Fantasy V fight right now with Maxa and Forza. This would, and because it's 4 uses, that would pretty much last you the whole fight. And Sloga, very high chance of success. I'd say Sloga and Silence Ga probably connect about 75% of the time, if not higher. So, if you're having trouble with that particular fight, that Final Fantasy V fight, all you have to do, if assuming you have these orbs, and this is why I really encouraged people, don't make Kiraja, don't make Quake yet, don't make these other spells, because you're not going to have orbs when these other abilities come around. And it came around, these abilities came out a month earlier in the global version than they did in Japan. So you guys, right now in the global version, we're getting abilities at a much, much faster pace than we did in Japan. So my guess is that over the next few months, they're looking to catch the global version up to the Japanese version. So these abilities originally came out about 2 months after the release, and we're only about 1 month out. And so a lot of these abilities that that I've said in other videos, or that I've made in a lot of posts and stuff that I've made, I've said, oh, well, we should get, Protect on these other ones in about a month, and then we should get Shell on these other ones another 1 to 2 months after that. It looks like now whenever there's a major event, they're starting to release new abilities with it. So I would expect Shelga and some of these other abilities that I've talked about in my previous recommended abilities video, I would expect those to come out actually a lot sooner than anticipated. So I think the timeline of the abilities and events now are kind of irrelevant relative to the Japanese version, because like this Magitech Facility event 2 wasn't supposed to come out. We didn't get that until the Terror event had already ended. And so now that I think the timeline is kind of irrelevant, but what is still relevant is the order is the same. So these are the same abilities and things that came out during they came out in the same chunk in the same order. So I would expect Shelga and some of these other abilities to come out next. But these three, Silence Ga, Slow Ga, and Protect, if you have the orbs, definitely make them. I guarantee it will make that Forza and Maxo fight extremely easy relative to probably what a lot of you were trying to do before. Should help even with Vargas and some of the other Final Fantasy VI ones that are a bit tough. And Physical 2, so I've talked a lot about breaks, but Magic Breakdown and Mental Breakdown, these are both really good. I'm holding off on making them right now just because I'm doing fine with regular breaks, regular Magic Break and regular Power Break. And so at this stage right now, because there's really not that difficult of content, I wouldn't worry too much about making those just yet. If you have the orbs and you really want to use it, that's fine. But there's no harm in hanging on to it for now, especially if you already have 4 to 6 uses of Magic Break and Power Break. I mean, even in Japanese content, I still use regular breaks quite often. And so there's nothing wrong with not making those. And then, like not Silence Buster, I think Venom Buster, and what was the other one? Shadowbind, Venom Buster and stuff like that. I never use those. I mean, if you're going to try to poison them, poison usually works fairly consistently. So I've talked about those before. And then summoning now. Kirin is a really good summon to have because of all-party regen. There is kind of a catch, though. If you want to make it now, that's cool. No worries. But when the quest system comes out, which again I've also kind of touched on in some other videos, Kirin, one of the quests that you're given is to create Kirin, and once you create Kirin, basically the reward for creating Kirin is you get the summon orbs back that you invested to make it. So what is it? How many is it? 10. So you would get those 10 orbs back. So it's more or less like a really cheap version of Kirin. If you want to hold out until that quest comes out, which again at the pace that they're releasing content now for the global version, I would expect that to come much sooner than later. So maybe in a month or so. Whereas before I would have guessed it at about 2 to 3 months, but because of the pace, like I said, it's much faster. It's not really needed right now, but again, if you want to make it and use it, it will have its uses in due time. But right now, not so much. The 4-star summons, I mean, most of the when I need to clear an AoE thing, I still use Dragon. Like it still does like 2,500, 3,000 damage. That's still plenty. If you want to, I would stick with 3 stars for now and save your 4-star orbs for Carbuncle when it comes out. I think 4-star summons are kind of like Kiraja right now. It's overkill. Like I still have, even in my Japanese version, I haven't crafted Kiraja because it's just you don't need that much heal. And I think the same could be said for 4-star summons. They would take a long time to hone. 3-star summons, if it's a weakness, you can higher levels you can still get 7,000 damage. It's plenty. And it doesn't take those really precious orbs away from Carbuncle and these other summons that you want. And then I'm sure you guys have looked through all these. The Fire Strike and Blizzara Strike, definitely good. Nothing wrong if you've invested a lot in Fire Strike and Blizzard Strike. If you want to keep those, nothing wrong with those. They're still good and they're still good to use. But if you want to use, invest a lot in Fire Strike or Blizzard Strike, that's good. You'll get Thundara Strike, I think, in the next round of abilities. But I'm sure you guys know this, but if you're going to invest a lot in Fire Strike and Blizzard Strike, you're going to be taking orbs away from FFRK and Blizzaga. So you kind of need, this is kind of where you need to start thinking about specifying your party. And, what, are you going to go more mage heavy, or are you going to go more bruiser heavy? Obviously you want to adjust, because your orbs are limited, you want to adjust what you invest in based on the type of party that you want. And so that's abilities. And I'll just show you, this is the party that I've been using to clear. Really nothing special. I've done one pull and I got a Regal Gown and again a Genji Shield. But I mean, if you look at Cloud, this is, I think I pulled, I drew a Diamond Armor, but even before that I was just using a Beret and Greatsword and Hyper Wrist. So basically all I do, and this is for everything, this is for number 24, this is for number 128, this is for even the Flan and the groups of 5 mobs. I'll just put Retaliate on him, Retaliate, Tyro boosts him, and then everybody else pretty much just attacks Cloud and has him counter, and he hits bosses for like 3,500 damage each. And this is not like WoW uber gear, it's not even that great, it's just kind of decent gear. And again, a lot of it's farmable or just, it's not 5-star stuff. So, I mean, even with a pretty simple party, if you're having trouble with that, if you're having trouble with any bosses in particular, or any aspect of formulating a party to get all the way through to clear the whole thing, go ahead and leave a comment on the video, and I'll try to get back and try to offer some recommendations and stuff like that. But even just something this simple, just Retaliate and boost on your strongest attacker, and then just have him pile away at everybody. That's all. You don't need any ice abilities. You don't want any ice abilities. Fire is okay to have, but really it's lightning, because the proto armor that blinds you, if you guys haven't played it yet, there's armor that if you attack it, it counters with an all-party blind. Don't attack it, use Thunderstrike. That's why I have Thunderstrike or Thundara to one-hit them. You can clear the bosses, and the rest, again, you can just use Retaliate and Boost. That's really all you need. It's a very simple strategy, but it clears it very quickly. I only have to use like 1 or 2 cures for the entire set of battles, and that's it. So I hope you guys are enjoying this event. It was a lot easier than it was, but we didn't have synergy and stuff like that, and of course the knowledge that that's available to us now wasn't available to the Japanese users at this point in time. So yeah, that's the event and kind of the strategy and the abilities that are out. Feel free to ask any questions, or anything else you'd like to see. I'm trying to get feedback on other videos specifically people would like to see, so don't be afraid to leave some comments asking for specific video requests and stuff like that. I'd be happy to do those videos. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and I'll see you in the next one.